Violations being called, people kicked out of the event, Ricky takes over Paul, and that's just the start of the second major of the season. Question is, was it worth the upgrade? What's up, Disgenerates? It's the Disc Golf World. I'm Jefferson, and alongside me as always, the one with all the holes in his game, Swiss Cheese, recapping everything you need to know from the European Open. And for some, you haven't seen a lick of coverage yet. Don't worry, we got you covered. First off though, this video is brought to you by our Patreon and YouTube members. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. We wouldn't be able to bring you our coverage in 2 weeks at Ledgestone without you guys, so thank you, Disgenerates. But to start, one of the biggest talking points of the weekend was if the dgpt should have put the event behind the paywall, forcing subscribers to upgrade to the pro version over on DGN. There were some fans that believed limiting the amount of viewership on the prestigious event was a bad decision. Would it be worth restricting access in order to make a profit instead of having the most amount of attention on the event? People on the other side understood that the sport needs money in order to put on such a production, so the justification was a no-brainer. Let us know in the comments below if you upgraded or if you're just relying on your boys for your free disc golf fix for the weekend, as Jomez is also delayed. Guess we can compare those numbers as we have no idea the viewership for the live. It was cool to see the gallery being huge again. That does seem like a good sign, however, could have been the free admission. Although I was confused in all that since I saw some people post they had to pay and others saying they just walked in. And being at previous events, I know how easy it is for someone to cluelessly find themselves watching lead card in the VIP section. But I'm just going to take it as big crowds as being a great sign for the popularity of the sport in Europe. And everything I've heard is that disc golf is perceived extremely professional over there. But that's not what we saw this weekend. If you notice during the final round, during Gannon Buhr's putting motion, someone would perfectly be coughing. And to some, it sounded quite suspicious. I'll play you the clip and you let me know.
It's gotta watch the nose angle.
Hits it high.
Comment what you think, but from multiple social media posts, people are claiming that this was done intentionally and the man was escorted out of the event. Personally, that's all I needed to hear to believe this guy was in the wrong. Hopefully those hate comments directed at Buhr for clapping back at the crowd have that context added. For some reason, Gannon catches a lot of flack for his antics, but this should provide a bigger picture of the scene. On his Instagram, he specifically used the word heckler, which indicates to me some sort of bad intentions. Thankfully, didn't have too much effect on the play. Bradley Williams makes a post stating 38 MPO players make the cut but don't get paid, and asked if people agreed with that. It does happen to be an interesting question. One side, you get to play more disc golf. Hell yeah. But that also could mean extra throws in the body for a chance to not be compensated for. But before we can get into all of that, Swiss, hit the people with the FPO recap.
Beth at 69.
I just told myself, you just got to will this one in there. Whatever you have, just will it in there.
This man is unbelievable. This is what athletes live for. This is the moment.
I think there was a couple of things that came out of this weekend. One, the European Open always delivers. And second, there's no lead safe in the FPO. Kristin Tattar, fresh from a victory at the Krakow Open, her first event back from injury, came out strong with a 9-under, 1040 rated round, and a course record-setting performance at the newly installed Monster course at Tampere. It was only the third highest rated round in major history, giving her a 4-stroke lead over Evelina Salonen in what looked to be a runaway win similar to last year. Though the weather on day 2 would halt that run, with Tattar following that performance with a 1-under, while Evelina would put the hot round together with a 4-under, closing the gap between the two down to a single stroke. And that was despite her 4-putting inside the circle for a double bogey on 17. The two would be part of only 4 competitors to shoot under rounds during the difficult rainy conditions, further separating them from the pack a full 8 strokes ahead of third place Silva Saarinen. Fans were looking for a tight battle between the top talents in the FPO, something that has been missed for most of the season thus far, yet after the first 2 days, looked like the head-to-head battle would finally materialize. On one side, you had Tattar looking to go back-to-back in Nokia for her 7th career major that would tie her for 3rd all-time. Evelina looking for her 2nd major of the season to stamp her presence even further. Instead, both would have a roller coaster of a final 2 days with rounds so bad that even a former president's cushion-sized bandage couldn't cover. Tattar on day 3 would register a single birdie on her way to an 8-over round. The 906 rated round was lower than last year's European Championship that scared everyone shitless right before Worlds. 8 strokes worse than her previous lowest scored round at the Beast that saw only slight changes from last year outside of hole 16. Would go OB 7 times total on the day that resulted in 7 bogeys and 1 double. It would drop her all the way down to 3rd place and 7 strokes behind Evelina, who strolled to the top of the leaderboard with only an even round. Silva would put together the hot round of the day with a 5 under, despite registering a single bogey and double bogey. That would allow her to move into 2nd place at 6 under and 3 strokes behind Evelina and 4 strokes ahead of Tatar. Tatar's best round at the Beast was a 6 under last year. Would not only be looking to improve on that score in the final round, but would still need some help from both Silva and Evelina for her to even have a chance to complete the greatest comeback in a major in FPO history. Simply put, Tatar would close the gap on both by hole 10 by shooting 5 under in that span. Evelina would not register a birdie in that stretch, nor for the entire round, as she would only be looking to beat Tatar's day 3 round with a 9 over on the final day. Continued putting woes with even more C1 misses on top of 7 OB throws that would knock her off the podium altogether, allowing Missy Gannon to climb above her for a 3rd place finish with a 3 under final round. Silva, with an up and down round up to that point, would be down a single stroke with a disastrous 3-stroke swing on 10 with a triple bogey after going OB. Only for us to witness Tatar 3-putt the very next hole for a 2-stroke swing right after. Yet OB would be the detriment for Silva first on 12, resulting in a double bogey for yet another 2-stroke swing, this one giving Tatar the lead yet again, and for the last time of the tournament. Add another on 18 that would seal the victory for Tatar. This win is not only a historic comeback, but puts her further among the greatest FPO names in the sport. Also, added a much-needed major victory on the season with her other 2 performances earlier this year not even resulting in a podium finish. This is her 5th dgpt Elite Series or better win, and gives her the confidence heading into the final stretch and possibly another World Championship run.
Over on the MPO side, Randon Latta and Chris Dickerson would both finish at 7 down and on top of the leaderboard. That wouldn't last long as Paul McBeth would put together another solid round to find his way on back-to-back lead cards. Gannon decided he needed a piece of that action with the hot round over at the Monster, and I gotta say, just based on the names of the courses, this tournament needs more respect. Just like how the weather was handled by the event. What type of luck we've had this season that both majors this year have had to move around to the next day. We didn't hear any complaints, so I always take that as a job well done. Burr was on a mission moving day, putting up the record at the Beast with a 12 down. He would start off his round with 6 straight birdies and no sign of stopping. Ricky Wysocki was done lurking in the shadows and pushed his way onto the final day lead card, 4 back of Gannon and setting up one of the best final days we've seen this year. If you didn't have DGN Pro yet, this was the time to get it. How could you miss out on the face of the new generation looking for his 2nd major win, the GOAT who's been lackluster of late making his move, and the guy who's been on a 7-year major drought? Hard to get better than that. Ricky cut the lead after the first hole and snagged the eagle on 3, but Burr would go on to birdie holes 2 through 7. He would find trouble over on hole 10, missing a C1X putt, although let's not forget about this.
Just gotta watch the nose angle.
Someone better look if that guy has a Saki Bomb shirt on, because that bogey couldn't have come at a better time as Ricky was on a 5-hole birdie run that continued for an additional 4 holes. Burr followed up his bogey with a bullseye 2 and then 3 more birdies after that, which included a clutch 45-footer on hole 13. See what happens when no one's coughing? Ricky was on pace to break the course record the day after Gannon, but after hole 15, the final stretch is nothing but a cakewalk to catch up. I mean, Gannon's got poles on his team after all. Don't even bring up the bogey on 17 either. Burr still won by 2 strokes and has secured a 10th place spot on the all-time wins list. He's only 19, by the way. I know some people forgot that. Even going OB on the last hold, Richard, as we're calling him now, still set the course record, so he won't be going home a full loser. Well, McBeth did take down another major podium for his career. Too bad that didn't stop Wysocki from taking Paul over on the all-time money list. Paul did say in his recap post over on Instagram that he was dealing with a migraine and nausea, as he was giving everything he had for the win. And all I gotta say is, if Yunus was on his bag, Paul probably would have won. That wasn't the only major that happened this weekend either, though. Nope, the Junior World Championships went down over in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And Swiss got you covered with that one.
There was more than one major over the weekend as the Junior World Championships took over Tulsa, Oklahoma. The future of the sport was represented with over 450 competitors, along with 19 countries represented throughout the 10 divisions. Let's give these winners and all those that competed this week the recognition they deserve. Ryan Mon absolutely crushed the MJ18U by 12 strokes, in large part with 4 consecutive double-digit unders before the finals that resulted in a 10-23 rated tournament, 16 points above his current rating. Kayla Hess with a 4 under on the final day was enough to overcome a 2-stroke deficit heading into the finals of the female 18 under for her first world championship in her 4th year participating at Junior Worlds. Austin Yoder from Ohio shot a 10 under bogey-free round during the semis to give him his first lead of the week. His 4 under during the finals was enough to take down the championship in the male 15U. Teresa Savas took the leaderboard with the hot round of the tournament with a 5 under 3rd round. Teresa went into the finals looking for a victory this time after losing her lead on the final day in last year's Junior World Championship, but was able to hold on for the win this year in the FJ15U. Estonian Tanja Mehene was able to get some redemption of his own after a finals loss at last year's Worlds after having a share of the lead or better every day prior. Led from start to finish this year in the MJ12U and took down the event with the 2nd highest margin of victory in every division. Over in the girls 12U, it would actually come down to the final hole. Eva Lazenko went into the finals down 2 strokes to Nova Bellinger, a local and reigning world champion. Would need to climb back further down after a bogey on the first hole. Was able to chip away at that lead and went into the final hole with the box down a stroke, needing a birdie on the 222-foot hole. Was able to deliver it, and with it, her first world championship. Nico Forbes adds an MJ10U World Championship to his already impressive resume. The Canadian star has already been featured on magazines, has big-time sponsors, and was once the youngest TD in disc golf prior to the rule change. Oh, and also runs a junior tour in Ontario. You guys might not recognize the name, but cannot forget the long-haired forehand bomber whenever he crosses your feed. Would need to come back on the final day down a stroke for his first world championship. Sarah Wadsworth got her 2nd world championship in 2 divisions in back-to-back years. After taking down the 8 and under division last year, 9-year-old Kiwi from New Zealand led the FJ10 tournament from the start and took down the event comfortably by 6 strokes. Now with 2 junior world championship wins under her belt in just her first 2 years of playing, this just might not be her last. In the 8 and under divisions, Cody Burker and Keely Bain were able to take the lead for the entire tournament and won their first world championships in their first time playing the event. Guys, the team at Tulsa did an exceptional job along with the families and all the players. Make sure to give the coverage a watch, at the very least, to watch the future of the game.
And that's everything you need to know from the majors this past weekend. The pros are now headed to Estonia for the European Disc Golf Festival, which has been hyped up for some time now. So make sure to subscribe to not miss out on the recap next week, only on the Disc Golf World.